Welcome to Blast and Stash, your one-stop shop for your comic book reviews, where we review our books we have on our pull list each week. Blast it means we're going to get rid of that book that's garbage, stash it, we're going to put it in a long box and cherish it forever. Tonight we only have Joe and myself. Some of the stuff going on. Game of Thrones is airing tonight, final season, so that may push people out of here too. We don't know. But Joe and I are going to go and run through it. We're going to do our thing. Game of Thrones be damned. I may be shunned for that. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to Game of Thrones as well. But we're going to go talk about comics right now. I'm going to kick it over to Joe and his first book for the evening, Joe.
Oh, how do you start this kind of stuff off? Let's talk about the book that was getting all the hype this week and both speculation and everything else, and that's Fakeless. I went with this kind of oddball variant right here. I did not go with the pornographic one with the Lady All Spread Eagle. This is an interesting book, and I took some notes on it because there was an interesting line on the back cover of the book. And I'll read it to you right now. Basically, the whole poem comes from a gentleman by the name of Remy, as it's stated on there. Remy was a 13th century poet, Muslim poet, that followed through the Silk Road. He was Sunni. He was known for a lot of things in both philosophy, poetry, music, theology, and kind of thought and greater thinking. And the book's trying to make us believe to some degree that our character in this is kind of something similar to that. And what I found it to be is an absolute bore of a book. You quote such an interesting character as Remy in the end of it, and then you give me the same crap that you would expect a couple of teenage girls in a high school cafeteria to be saying. And oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, they're lesbian. And then like the most disturbing panel of all time, these two were going around having a good time with each other and yada, 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 damn the men, whatever. And then at the end, it's kind of like instead of the girl performing a sexual act on the other girl, it turns into like this big pile of maggots. It was probably the most disgusting thing I've seen in a comic book this year. So yeah, and I'll be honest with you, just the story writing did not capture me in any way. It's very predictable. And it's exactly what I thought it would be. Garbage book, and I'm going to blast it. Before we move on, let me say hi in the chat real quick. Comics Mix Explained, Clink in the Glasses, good to see you. Kerbowski, yeet, what's up, brother? And we got Just a Rican. I love his show. If you haven't checked out his show, he's got a pretty good show over there as well. Thank you all for coming in. Please enjoy the chat. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely let us know if you blasted or stashed the book. Blast or stashed the book you read this week. If you read them, let us know in the chat. Yeah, I knew there was a X-rated cover. I did not pick that up. I just picked up the standard cover. I don't think this was even on my pull list. Or was it? I don't remember. But just going into the book, too, I knew I wasn't going to like it. I knew it was not going to be my thing. I just knew it. It's a millennial thing. It's definitely for the millennials, the whole speak the coffee shop and all that shit. Yeah, and it was very predictable. Where's Mike? This would be Mike's pick of the week because it has lesbians and has nudity. Man, Mike was here. This would be his pick of the week. And I'm not going to show you the panels in there because there are, well, not quite a few, but there's some nudity stuff in here. But it's definitely no magic by Image, that's for sure. Even though it does talk about magic in this book, it's a blast. I did not like it at all. So it'll go in my bag and board. Either it'll be sold or I'll never, ever, ever see this again. It'll be somewhere. And let's see. Let's jump into another book here real quick. Maybe one that I read. Maybe you didn't. How about that? I'm surprised you didn't read this. Savage Sword of Conan?
Yeah, no, I didn't pick it up. I had so much other stuff that I picked up. But please, give me a review of it.
Yeah, I will try. I will try to do my best as possible. Of course, it starts out with another great Alex Ross cover with old Conan covers behind. My comic store was saying he didn't like Alex Ross art because they made him too shiny. I said, well, he's sweating. He's glistening. And I love Alex Ross art. I don't know how you feel about Alex Ross.
I love Alex Ross, like I said, but I just could not get my hands on that book this week with everything else. Got to stay within somewhat of a budget.
Yeah, which I am. Thanks to your video, I may be staying more within a budget. The video that I submitted for your contest. So definitely haven't entered Joe's contest. Go over and do that. I think you still have a little bit of time. But it ends tomorrow.
Tomorrow night at the stroke of midnight is the end of the contest.
Yeah. So this is a continuation of the other story, Conan and the other two characters. I don't remember their names. The girl and the guy that I think he saved off the boat. They were chained to get together originally. They're still going through almost like an Indiana Jones kind of thing where they have to figure out how to get to this treasure. And the one guy who got hurt had actually been infected. He's actually being taken over by these bad guys. And that's the thing. He's starting to be able to, the bad guys are able to see through this guy's eyes and see what Conan's doing and able to hear what he's doing. And then finally, I don't know if I want to spoil it because you haven't read it, but this is still pretty good. I'm not sure if this is a miniseries. We talk about that all miniseries. Is it ongoing? I don't remember. But it says to be concluded, and I'm not sure if that means concluded just as in the end of the story arc or the end of the Savage Sword of Conan, if it's just a miniseries. But this is still being good. I like it, this one, because it is a continuing story versus the other Conan book where it's back to when he was younger, then a little bit of what's going on now, then back, then forth. So Savage Sword of Conan is still good, but I don't think it's as good as the original Conan book. But I'll still continue to pick it up. So this is a stash for me, too. We got a couple more people in the chat there, Joe.
Oh, we got him jumping in. We got Double S. He just jumped in. What's going on? Sorry, your uncle's not here tonight. He's had some work stuff he had to do. Got Big the Snake in here. By the way, saw him for the first time on a YouTube show over at Comic Core. Not what I was expecting. I'll be honest. I was like, oh, that's Big the Snake. That's kind of surprising. Of course, Just Regan and Comics Mix Explainer still in here. Thanks, guys. Love having you on the show. I guess maybe I should talk about something good. I just blasted a book. I guess I should say something nice about a book. Let's say
you don't have to, but
kind of hard this week. I'll be honest with you. Oh yeah, let's talk about this one. Okay, so been loving this series, loving this new character. I got out of comic books. Let's see, right about the time I joined the Army, and I was kind of floating in and out of it at the time, but didn't start any collections, just mostly reading, right? Because when you move around a lot, you lose your collection. So I never got involved in the whole metal thing, Batman metal and all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, even though I don't know a lot about the character, I've really been enjoying this Batman Who Laughs. I've been digging this. The running joke in a lot of the chat rooms is, how's that guy see with the band on his head? We've had these arguments and talks in the chat rooms and stuff, and we finally figured that out in here. We got Batman who believes he has to become his enemy to be able to take care of his enemy. And of course, if that's the case, then he has to align with his original enemy, which is the Joker. And he's like, you're going to kill me if I get crazy, right? And Joker's like, yeah. Like, it was just the most very impactful speech back and forth where that they have such a history together that they don't need long monologues between each other. And I enjoy that. The writer that wrote this knew that as well. Like, I write the comic book. This is a guy that writes the comic book fans, I've thought. So yeah, been enjoying this, watching that kind of transformation happen. I think it's truly a unique story right now in comic book writing right now. I can't predict what happens in this, and I like that. So yeah, and the artwork in this has just been so detailed too. Great covers. I mean, they're on it. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Jock's art. I mean, I don't mind like his cover stuff, but his interiors aren't necessarily my thing. And they're not horrible by any means. And they probably, in his style, fits in with this kind of dark kind of sci-fi kind of stuff, I think. But it's not my cup of tea. But yeah, that's great to be able to see Bruce or Batman kind of. You see at the first book, he's really giving into this visor and this what would it be, an infection or whatever? I don't know. How did he get it? Do you remember? He took it, didn't he?
Yeah, he took a serum. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Joker, or not the Joker toxin, but that has something to do with it as well.
Just to try to gain an edge on where his enemy was coming from. At the first of the book, he's really given into it, and just fighting Alfred. Somebody who absolutely loves him unconditionally, and, regardless of everything he does. But you see, he's kind of struggles with this with the whole book. Where I do like that text where Bruce is talking, then it goes hey, hey, in that little red dialect, and knowing that the Joker laughs is kind of coming through a little bit. I like that, the whole thing, and I do love the dialogue between the Joker and Batman. When let me flip to the page. I just read it here. The whole thing about you promised to kill me, and Joker said, "Oh, I'll blow your friggin' head off." That's what he said. And then Bruce just cross your heart, kind of a little laugh. Yeah, this is a very unpredictable book. You don't know where it's going. Like this, I had no clue where it was going. All of a sudden, Bruce is going through different dimensions, getting other Bruce Waynes, essentially kind of bringing back.
Yeah.
Joker who wants it gets to kill every single Bruce Wayne in every dimension, if that's what he's going for.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is not you can't follow it. I mean, follow the story, but you have no way of knowing what's happening next, or even a thought process. I mean, but it's been pretty good stuff. We get a picture of the Joker who laughs without his visor at the end of it too. Not really shocking, I don't think. It wasn't like, oh my god, that's so awesome. Yeah. But it is what it was. And then of course we leave the big cliffhanger. There, Bruce Wayne is getting blasted by the prison guards at the Blackgate. Were they at Blackgate? I feel like sometimes I need my glasses I need now to wear during the show just so I can read some stuff. Oh, I'm bleeding. I cut mine. But Batman Who Laughs is definitely some good stuff, and I think it's only 5 or 6 issues.
Double ask a good question. He's asking you is this going to tie into the 3 Jokers theory that was previously mentioned in Batman comics? What do you think about that?
I don't know, because that was Jeff Johns, wasn't it? Wasn't he writing that? That was actually in the book I just picked up today. Justice League number 50. Yeah, that's where Batman sits in the Mobius chair and figures out there are 3 different Jokers. Who knows? I don't know what Jeff Johns wants to do, even if he has control anymore of anything DC or any say-so what happens at DC. Because he's only doing the what can I think of what's called? The one that comes out like every 3 months. That has Rorschach in it.
Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday Clock, yeah. I think that's the only book he's working on anymore. I know he was supposed to be a big deal in DC, but it seemed like he's kind of dropped off.
Yeah,
that's right, Shazam too. He's done Shazam. Yeah. They've been talking about 3 Jokers now for 2 years, and they haven't done anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows if this is going to tie in or not? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. You still can't find your camera, Joe?
No, I'm gonna go pick up a new one here soon. It's gone.
Did you get lost in Chicago?
Maybe. Who knows? Everything was all over the place. It was just a mess.
Okay, my next book. This did not. I don't know. I felt like it kind of ended with a whimper. It did have some emotional parts in there, but I didn't feel like it ended like I wanted it to. That's Winter Soldier number 5. I was really looking forward to this because I've been really liking this story. The dynamics of Bucky and RJ going through, kind of like the adopted father-son kind of relationship, and RJ's biological father being a total D-bag and not changing and stuff like that. So I was really looking forward to this. It didn't end, like I said, how I wanted or how I thought it was going to end. Now, is RJ going to be continuing on in the Marvel Universe? I don't know. He might. I asked Kyle Higgins at C2E2 if he had planned on doing any more RJ stuff, and he did not have anything on his plate do any more RJ. So it doesn't mean somebody else can't pick him up and be a continuing character in the Marvel Universe. I did enjoy that character quite a bit because it was kind of, how old is he? 14, 15, maybe a little younger than that.
16, something like that, yeah.
Just a total badass kid. You know, he was raised to be an assassin, but he still kind of has those kid, you know, puberty kind of things going on with his mind changing and stuff like that. So that's kind of an interesting aspect to it. But he didn't kill RJ. RJ didn't kill him. RJ beat the crap out of him. But of course, Winter Soldier wasn't going to be fighting back because he cared about RJ. And the main bad guy, who looked like, oh my God, I can't think of names tonight.
The guy with the guy with the nunchucks.
The guy with the nunchucks. Let's call it the guy with the nunchuck.
Oh, nunchuck guy.
Nunchuck guy. He reminded me of that one singer, David Bowie, at the very first issue. I remember that. So he thinks that he kind of reveals to RJ what happened to his dad originally. I don't know how he got those pictures of Winter Soldier throwing his dad in the trunk and going to bury him in the middle of the woods in an undisclosed location. But he reveals to RJ that Winter Soldier was the one who killed him, and in hopes to be able to get RJ back into the fold with him. It didn't work out in Nunchuck Guy's favor because RJ wasn't going to have either one. He wasn't going to be with Bucky, and he wasn't going to be with this Nunchuck guy. He ended up blasting the crap out of him and walking away crying. And that's kind of how it is. I mean, RJ's kind of out there, don't know where he's going, don't know what he's doing. Bucky still kind of has feelings wants to make sure he's okay still. But that's how it ends. And I really hope RJ's going to come back some kind of fashion later on in Marvel books. But I thought this whole run, this 5-issue miniseries, was a stash. It's good stuff.
Oh, I agree. I've enjoyed this run. This has been a good run. This has been kind of playing the character, or I'm sorry, the story type of, you know, what's the difference between a father and the responsibilities of a hero, right? It kind of plays with those two concepts throughout it. And we find out that maybe Winter Soldier shouldn't be a dad, right? He kind of contemplated taking the shortcut of killing the father and doing the bad thing, but that's not what a hero does. And he had to be reminded of that. And so he stepped up and did the right thing. And yeah, he took his lumps for it, right? He took the hit. And RJ walks off from him. They got into a little bit of a battle. And then they walk away. But then again, RJ, he lit up Nunchuck Guy, caught him on an ambush and lit him up. And it is his life for kind of getting involved too. So what do we have now? We have a mentally damaged teenage kid that can literally be one of the world's best assassins out roaming around now. And I think that's exciting. They really need to do something with that. I think it will be great. I don't care if they do it with the DC show tie-in that's coming on the DC channel. I don't care if they open up another comic book with just him. You know, give that a few options there. That would be awesome. But I really been enjoying this series. I thought I liked the way they ended it. I thought it was a nice, neat bow to where RJ can step out on his own and maybe be the Nightwing of the universe or something along those lines. Now, how do I feel about a kid being completely effective as an adult, as a superhero? I don't know. They'll have to throw in some of those just dealing with being a teenager type stuff. But who knows where it's going to go. I know this was a good run. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that it wasn't like an overdrawn out. 5 issues was perfect to tell this story. We didn't get a whole lot of filler issues. Every issue was integral to the story. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. Real quick, in the room, Discovery Babe stopped in. Thanks for stopping in, my friend. Splash Page stopped in as well. Always good to see you, brother. Let's see, who else did we get in here? Comics. Man, Comics Mix Explain. He must be drinking tonight. Well, he's just chatting it up. Keep it up, brother. Let's see what else we got going on. A lot of people saying give thumbs up. Definitely give us a thumbs up. Oh, Jason Smith's in the room. Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for swinging by. Definitely, guys. Love having you all here. I don't know. What are we going to talk about now? We want to go decent.
I do want to do some clarification on some stuff on the Facebook page. I went to post something, and I went to edit it, and I left one word in there, and it confused a lot of people. So what I was talking about on the Facebook page is I don't want to see it. I don't think anybody else wants to see it. The spamming of all these auctions of people I don't know, people of other Facebook groups and stuff like that. I want people to share. Like if they're having an auction on their YouTube channel, share that. If you're sharing content on your YouTube channel, share that. So our Facebook group is about our love of comic books and to share that. I just don't like to see stuff being spammed on there and people sharing stuff about other Facebook auctions to people we don't know. And I'm not saying that they're not trustworthy people. I just don't know them. I'd rather deal with people that I do know and have talked to through Facebook and through YouTube and stuff. So I know Discovery Bay said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." I said, "No," and I went back and read my post again, and I said, "Don't spam and don't post your YouTube channel." No, that's not what I meant. I meant to say, don't spam the channel with auctions. This is for posting your YouTube videos as well as your love of comics. If somebody wants to sell something on there, I don't have a problem with that either. I just don't want stuff being spammed constantly on that channel. So that's the clarification.
Yeah, I like it.
So Midwest must be in here. Oh yeah. Yep, he's just commenting about what happened, why he's not here tonight, and Mike's not here because he's playing with his dingling, I think. And Drew may be watching. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, they're working. Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know. Just some of us just got, I guess, this more dedication than others. I guess.
Yeah. That may change coming up soon too with my job. We'll try to stay on Sunday nights. We may be just doing a premiere video or something. It will be live. Maybe one of or two of us might be in the chat. Or we'll figure out something out. Or maybe change the format up and do it a little sooner in the week. We're not sure yet. But Joe, what's your next book for the week?
Definitely. Let's talk about just a great read lately, and just something that I've just been picking apart, and that is Avengers: No Road Home. Man, this thing has just been a delicious bit of refreshness with everything that they try to bring to you. This issue we're dealing with desires, and where do your desires come from? I thought that was very interesting. So if you don't know the story yet, they've been fighting Nexus, whatever, the god of night, or the goddess of night, I should say. And they've been fighting her, and they're fighting her on a world that is filled with dreams. And finally, the planet itself comes to life in a human form and wants to know what everybody's desires are, just to get them to stop fighting. And so everybody goes through their thing. And I found it very interesting that all their desires kind of fit with the character or the role that they play in the comic book, with the exception of Hercules. Hercules has been a known bragger throughout comic book history. And in this one, he just wants to be a guy that actually does something good. He wants to feel like a hero. And it was almost kind of sad hearing him say it. And then he had his opportunity to do it, and he did. Legitimately, everybody's desires come through, and we still have conflict. And I thought, man, does that not speak to people? We are always told, even since we were kids, watch out what you wish for. You just may get it. And they did in this too, and it didn't really help their situation in any way. They're still going through the same conflict. And I just thought that was great, that when something's handed to you, it doesn't change things in your life. I know I'm going way deep into it, and I really shouldn't, because it is, at the end of the day, just a comic book for entertainment. But man, how powerful is that? I mean, it really makes you feel empathetic towards the story and engages you into the story. And I just thought that was ingenious. I'm loving this writer. I'm loving this series. Man, some of these indie books, man, they could take a real lesson on writing here. This is good stuff. And Great Legend just stopped in the show. Hey, man, welcome to the show. And thanks for doing that live video of the contest entry. That was really cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we also got the first appearance of the World Avengers, which Avengers World. I don't know. That's the only page I think we see of them in the whole book. And the first, I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they'll play a bigger role in the last issue. I don't know, or maybe they're kind of in the Avengers stead to make sure everything else is going smooth while the Avengers are battling Nyx. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, this was a good issue. I do like the fact that Hercules is kind of like, okay, maybe they take it down a notch. I'm not this big I'm always boasting. I'm always talking about myself. Maybe need to take it down a notch. But in the end, dude, really, they all wanted the last crystal or the last one that Nyx wanted, but Nyx ended up with it anyhow. I guess maybe her argument was a little better. That's why the planet or the dream world give it to her. But I mean, yeah, Hawkeye got his arrow. All those things that he wanted one true shot. He got that one true shot. I do like the fact that that Rocket took some of the Pym particles and he's racing there. Rocket large and in charge. Although he didn't really do much. So, but it was good stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing how this is going to end. Hercules is kind of putting his life on the line toward the end of that book because he's trying to hold that door open of the house that Nyx went into. And then Vision, I think Vision might end up being toast in the next issue because he's been kind of getting beaten. And plus, he talks about his mortality a lot throughout this whole run. So this might be the end of Vision. Although he's an android, those upload his conscious into something else.
I don't know. I thought Conan brought a very good point up about that whole thing where Vision was talking about, how he's rushing towards death. And then Conan's like, what is wrong with you? That is not what it is to be alive. To be alive is to avoid death and survive. And I'm glad they brought Conan into this particular story because nobody else could have done that monologue other than Conan. It just would not have fit with anybody else. Like, I don't care. Pick a character from Marvel's history and have him say those lines. It just would not have fit. And man, Conan, when you hear it from Conan, especially if you've been reading any of the Conan stuff, man, it just makes sense coming out of Conan's mouth more than anybody else. So I just thought that was one of those moments where it just kind of got the hairs on the back of the neck standing up. It was good stuff. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I mean, he's always arguing with Crom, his god. I mean, regardless of what story it is, what movie it is, he's always blaming Crom for his missteps and stuff like that. Because Crom doesn't care, you know, so he's trying to push Crom off as far as he can. He doesn't want to meet Crom anytime soon because Crom's an asshole. So, but yeah, it's good stuff for sure. Love the reviews. Good job, guys. Thank you. Comics. See anybody else in there? Splash Page. We talked about him. You can't. Yeah, Splash Page and Great Legend, of course. Can't go on without Great Legend. So I want a few more books this week. Wait, you go, Joe. You have a few more books than I did to read this week.
Okay. Let's blast something. Let's blast a book that nobody asked for. Okay, and that was Batman 66 or 68. I'm sorry. At some point, the fact that Catwoman and Batman did not get married is just going to have to be something that we accept as a society. Most of us have, except for the writer of this book. Apparently, we got taken to a bachelorette party at the Fortress of Solitude. Apparently, the Fortress of Solitude, that they didn't catch the hint of what that building means, but we get the Lois Lane and Catwoman kind of doing their own little bachelorette party in this thing. And you're probably thinking, why are we getting that? They didn't get married. What's going on? Well, because our writer is cheap and chintzy and he doesn't know how to write a story, dun, dun, dun. It's all in Batman's mind. Go figure that one out. Once again, we got another mind screwing thing where he's hooked up to a machine and screaming and blah, blah, blah. Mind you, the bachelor party consisted of Superman and Bruce Wayne basically eating soup and playing chess. It was the most, like when they would get to the panels with them in it, I was like, oh my God, that's stupid. And then we fast forward over to Catwoman and Lois Lane, and we find out that they're drinking like Martian liquor and getting drunk and falling in pools of ecstasy and whatever. And then all of a sudden this splash page pops up with Superman hooked up to a machine and things being forced into his brain, or maybe it's what he's thinking. Who knows? It doesn't matter because it's what is known in bad story writing as the God Machine. And that's when all of a sudden, ta-da, this thing happens. Sometimes on this show we call it, hey, look, the holodeck scene just happened, because that's all it is. And it's did not need to happen, and nobody asked for it. But yet, hey, because, words, and feels, somebody gets to write a bad Batman story, and the rest of us have to suffer for it.
Yeah, I'm flipping through the book as we're talking because I haven't read it yet. And I didn't read last issue as well. I've been kind of I love Batman, and I defended Tom King so much in the early issues, and now I feel like I can't defend him anymore. And so Batman's kind of getting moved to the bottom of my stack, where sometimes I may not even get read that week. So, which is bad because I mean, you think of DC Comics, you think of Batman, you think of Superman, two big characters. But I'm flipping through this book. I like Amanda Connor's art. I don't know how you feel about her art. So it's kind of cartoony a little bit, but it's pretty consistent though.
And this issue, I thought it was very cartoony, like a lot of just over exaggeration in it. But for the most part, the art's good in it. I can't complain about the art. It is what it is. But I mean, then again, what good is the art if you don't have a story with it? I don't get it.
So there's Superman stripping down. Is that what this is?
They're holograms. They're legitimate holograms. Apparently, this is something in Bruce Wayne's mind, which is even more disturbing, actually.
He's thinking of Soups, doing little Chippendales, huh?
Why is that?
That's maybe there's something going on that maybe Cat knew something a little bit about the Bat on his little darker side, that she had the thing for Soups and knew that she couldn't compete. Who knows? But I don't know. Is it Connors doing the interiors on Harley Quinn? I'm not sure. I know she did some covers. I know she had done Harley Quinn in the past, but I'm not sure if she's still current. Yeah, I got Amanda Connor stuff right here too. That actually fell off my wall a bit ago. I got there's Amanda Connor, Harley Quinn print I got at Rose City Comic Con. The great cover, as Drew would say, the Tracer. Great Matina cover on that one.
It's a great cover.
See, everybody's since we are abbreviating names, I'll just call the Great Legend L from now on, since Ledge makes a lot of sense. LOL. Oh, I don't know what's going on there.
Ledge.
But so this is 68. Tom King's supposed to be on there for another 35, 40 issues, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
my wife even asked me. She was like, this is going to be a bad book. You've been doing nothing but blasting it. Why are you continuing on with this? And I was like, because I need something to blast. If I bought all good books, this would not be a good show. It would just be stashing.
No. So I wonder if it's really going to behoove me to go back and read these. I haven't read last issue either, 67. I thought that was kind of a great cover as well. But, I mean, is it going to affect my overall understanding of Tom King's story arc? Doesn't seem so.
There isn't one. There's no solid story here. It's all just, I don't know. Read it and judge for yourself because, oh my God, I'm not that guy. The story was not written for somebody that, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know who they're trying to write this story to. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, jumping on to my next book, and that is by Aftershocks Comics. This is Orphanage #1 by Anderson and Platty, Nuno Platty. So this book, essentially what it is, all of what I understand, all of the adults die, and so it's all about the kids. Then it goes, these two kids are running around trying to get to their mom because they see dead people in the streets. They come home, their mom's dead as well. And then it jumps forward 20 years into the future. This guy and his daughter are out in the middle of the woods. He's talking to his daughter about riding a horse and stuff like that, being gentle. And then a stranger approaches on another horse who'd been shot and wounded. They end up taking him into town and getting him healed. A little singing, a little dancing, all that fun stuff. This guy's like the mayor, the dad in the first book is kind of the mayor of this little town that they're living in. And as soon as the guy wakes up from his wounds, he's been in coma, I think, for like a week or so. He talks about this other group coming in, essentially taking over. Let's see here. the new church. That's the name of these people that are coming through towns, essentially ransacking them, killing people, taking loot, taking what they need. They end up showing up at this village, and this stranger, actually got shot by them as he was fleeing the last village. So this is very a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Kind of reminds me of Walking Dead quite a bit, with the characters in the small town and not having the modern technologies and stuff. But this new church, they come in there, they're saying, he has given us world-wide adults, he has made us stewards of this world, he has charges to fight sin wherever we may find it. And this mayor, the dad at the first of the book, ends up standing up against people saying, hey, there's nothing you want here, and they end up killing him. And then they end up going and ransacking, destroying the whole town. At the end of the book, it's just the visitor, the daughter, and one other girl from the town end up leaving and trying to find safety somewhere else. So again, this kind of reminded me of Walking Dead quite a bit, just with that whole post-apocalyptic horseback riding, kind of trying to make it without the amenities that we all know today. So this is actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I definitely see something like this as like a TV series. It's like Walking Dead, but it was good. I'll stash it. I'll pick up issue 2 to see what it's like for sure.
Yeah, I heard a lot about that book, and there was a lot of talk for it. But by the time I got to it, I'm always behind slightly, and my LCS didn't carry it. But when I tried to get up online, it was already sold out.
Comic Picks is playing about Why the Last Man vibe. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Why the Last Man. My comic store recommended it to me. If you guys have heard the podcast, my wife and I read Paper Girls, so we're going to be doing Saga next. He said definitely. Oh no, I didn't. No, you gave me Gloves splash page, but they got left in I think either Paul's car or Joe's car. In your car, Joe?
Still in my car. They're still there if you want them.
Oh no, I could not pick up more. But he was saying that there's quite a bit of sexist kind of stuff in Why the Last Man that probably my wife would not like. So I may pass on. I may get up may get the first trade and read it myself and see what it's like. But it's supposed to be Saga up next, which I read the first trade on that, which I was kind of like, whoa. But come back to our podcast to hear the review on that. Joe, your next book.
Oh, let's talk about another book that's been anticipated on Web of Venom, Cult of Carnage. Man, this is how you look. You want to know how to set up a good story where the heroes really aren't going to be the focus, but the antagonists are. This is how you do it. Oh my Lord, this was good. I didn't much care for the art in it. I thought it was kind of lacking in art. I don't think it was the right kind of art for the tone of the story. But how cool is it to see Misty Knight back and John Jonasson? That guy's been through enough, and now it looks like he's about to go through a lot more, apparently. But, man, we get, like, people just, like, I believe the way the interview or the article that I read on this is, like, we're going to see every type of Venom and Carnage there has been, right? And they kind of hinted to that in number 0 as well. And they're kind of pushing that, where everybody can be infected and everybody can have a piece because there's still something in them from when they were infected with some sort of symbiote. And you definitely got that feel in here, like the church scene where they're all in the church and everybody's, some sort of Carnage reincarnated, this taking of the spines. I believe in issue 0, they said that that's where it was kind of located, somewhere in their spinal fluid and somehow, and that's why they're taking it out. I thought that was great stuff, and I really like how they're placating off of this. And also it brings up, it reminds us that this is an infectious disease. It affects you. And I really like that concept of it as well, because this whole, it's a thing or it's a person or it's an alien, that can be kind of misread, as we're seeing in the Venom story where the symbiote's trying to be empathetic, right? And I don't want the symbiote to be empathetic. I want it to be the disease. I want it to be the bad guy. And I think they're doing a good job in this. And of course, I had to go with this cover because, anytime you got something like this going on in a cover, that's awesome. But if I had one criticism of the entire thing, it's a setup it's the first issue. I thought they set it up well. Hopefully they'll keep that momentum going, but the moment they don't, this will be an easy one to drop once it starts getting weird. I just don't see how they can mess this story up. Like a 5-year-old could write the story with a crown, and it's a story that I think a lot of us have been waiting for with Carnage. So yeah, very excited about that. Good stuff going.
Read books from this Wednesday. Registered 1670 Animal Man. Right. Legend always going back to the older books, either Three Stooges or it's Jonah Hex.
Yeah, I like Jonah Hex too. It's a good read.
I didn't read this book. I don't even know why I picked it up. Maybe just because it's the Thanos book, but they're all reprints in here, and that's Marvel Tales featuring Thanos. Said I didn't go back and read. I think I have one of the books that they review. So it goes over Warlock number 10, Silver Surfer number 45, and then Warlock and Infinity Watch number 8. Of course, Jim Starlin is the writer on all of those books, except for Warlock. He's actually the writer and the artist. Ron Lim and then Tom Rainey on the Infinity Watch. Really anything Thanos, I'll pick it up. I'm a pretty big Thanos fan. I don't know. I don't think you read this book, did you, Joe?
I didn't pick that one up because I had the issues, so I was like, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I got 2 of these. I don't know why I ordered 2 of them, and they're like $8 a piece. I think. So let's see. Yeah, $7.99 a piece. I don't know why I picked up 2. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just give one of these away tonight on the show. Let's say, I'll think of something. Trying to blank here. Let's go. That's one book I didn't read. I got a couple of it. I got one more that I read this week, and I got a stack of stuff that I didn't read. So let's go over to the last book I read for the week. And this was one that was not on my pull list because I read the synopsis of it in the previews. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to pick it up. I'm actually kind of glad I did. I thought it was pretty good. And that is by Image Comics, and that's Fair Lady number 1. So, where Oven Mitts touch a comic. Yeah, I don't think that's going to help me preserve my comics. I'll have a whole bunch of ripped covers and ripped pages wearing Oven Mitts, unfortunately. So this book here, I need to take better notes. I know that here. So we have the main character whose name is not Samantha. That's the woman they're looking for. But there's a lady and her cat friend. It looks like a giant cat, at least. I don't know if they really call him a cat. They kind of, the one guy at the beginning of the book calls him a derogatory term, and they're going to sock him the job for it. But the main character essentially is, I wouldn't call her a bounty hunter. She is on the back of like a little advertisement, I guess she hangs on around town or whatever. It says the only fair lady, trained investigator specializing in closed cases since the war, strictly confidential, day and night service, licensed, bonded, and her location. So she is an investigator. She's hired by this guy to go find this woman that she had given money to. She goes to her location. She's not there. She runs into somebody else she owes money to. And so now there are 2 people looking for this woman, and she's trying to find her. And it's kind of like a cool little adventure. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more than I thought it was going into it. The art's not too bad. Artist is not Baloney. Balboni.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
I'll Claudia Balboni. I'll call her Claudia. The art, I think the art was too bad. She definitely is this badass, this investigator, and always gets stuff done. She ends up fighting the woman at the end of the book. They ride looks like polar bears. I don't know what they are. You know, being in a different world, who knows if they're polar bears or what. They talk to a dude with an octopus on his head. It's kind of a weird book, but I actually liked it. I thought it was pretty good, you know. And it was actually a long read. I don't know how many pages are in this book, but it felt like I was reading for a good while, and it was not overly wordy either on the pages. I mean, that's probably the average page right there.
Yeah.
But it was a good, not heavy book, but it was a very good book that expressed what it needed to do, and it felt like I was reading for a good while. Versus some comics you read through like in 5 minutes and you're done. You're like, oh well, that was kind of nothing. This felt like it had a little substance to it. I enjoyed that quite a bit. So this is actually, it's a stash for me. Joe?
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to hold this monstrosity up. What's the difference between this strong female lead character and this strong female lead character? This one just exists. They don't tell you anything about it, but she's out objectively. This is that Fearless book, right? And this is where, yeah, Fakeless.
Okay.
Right? And they're trying to force feed you a message in this, and they're trying to do it in a shocking manner and yada, yada, yada. This book actually shows you somebody with character and the reason why they're objectively better than everybody else. They give you that substance that we all crave in storytelling. They build the character. They built a beautiful world in this of just charisma, of whimsical, and just the odd little subtleties in it that they like riding a polar bear. Right? We don't need an explanation of that, but they give it to us anyway. We can see, we can live in this world and be part of this. This is I'm powerful because I'm doing things. This is I've earned my stripes and I'm objectively better at my job. Bam, there's your story. And that's why people are getting tied to this. And I'll tell you what, she doesn't have to be the toughest character or the best character in it. She's on equal playing field with everybody else. So if you want to tell a story about equality, then your character needs to be equal in it. And that's what this book is giving us. And I'll tell you what, I enjoyed this. This was just great stuff. Chintzy writing for shock value. A lot of vagina shots. A tall pussycat running around beating the hell out of people. Right? That with a partnership with objectively a tough female. Thank you. Thank you, writer. Thank you. Don't get all weird. But we're also promised, and interesting in this one, is each issue, and I think the reason why it's a slightly longer read, is each issue that should be coming out will be its own individual case. So there won't be, I think the ongoing arc story in it will be what has happened in this world. And I think that's pretty cool because they constantly reference a war, and we get snippets of it, and we find out a little bit about it. Apparently some giant robots were involved. And I want to know more about that, but I think that's going to be your kind of connecting plot over this arc here, where each other issue will be its own individual case. And I like that. That makes for an easy read. Great stuff going on here. Kudos to you, fair lady. Definitely. I'm calling this right now. This is the sleeper right here.
Yeah, I thought it was cool when they go to that first house where that lady they were looking for was there, and it was getting ransacked by a couple of gill-looking dudes or fish-looking dudes. And she puts them in an armbar and says, "Hey, the pain can stop. Tell me what I need to know. Don't." And then I think she ended up breaking his arm because the second guy that she runs into that this lady owes money to was saying, "Hey, dude, you broke one of my guys." And he's like, "Well,
I bet you a lot."
I do like the fact that they do talk about a war, but they don't really talk about her place in that war. They talked about where she didn't battle. They talked about one certain battle. She says, "I wasn't there. I was in this war, but I wasn't at that particular battle." So there's some mystery there behind what she did in the war. What she
know that she altered herself to look like a male. We know that because apparently females weren't in this war. So she kind of disguised herself as a male to be in the war. That much we do know, but her actual role and what she did in it, you're right. We don't know that. We know she's had military training. I mean, she's throwing people in arm bars, and she's kind of tough. So I'm going to say yeah.
Trying to get the trade paperback of Revenge Legend, the book you put on your auction show a few weeks ago. I don't know what that's about. Go ahead. I'm out of books. I can talk about a couple of the things I picked up, but you have anything else other books you want to talk about, Joe?
Well, yeah, actually I do. Some good stuff. And I'll throw the rest of the Blast stuff later. There's another couple of hot books that were coming out this week, actually. Kind kind of know about that one. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to go ahead and talk about our first full appearance of Arkham Knight. This is Batman 1001. Thank you, first off, to the writers of this and the artists. The art in it was awesome. Thank you. We actually have a story that's not going to end in a holodeck. It's not going to end in his head. It's not somebody's imagination. We actually have a decent story here, and we got Batman doing Batman stuff. That is awesome. He's being a detective. Yeah, we got the Knights of the Sun going on here. A lot of symbology. This thing is heavily dealing with symbology, with the difference, the contrast between light and dark, and Batman being called the Dark Knight, and then we have the Knights of the Sun going against him, but their roles are different, right? Like Batman's the hero, and Arkham Knight's supposedly the villain in this one. However, people in cults don't know that they're evil. They think they're the good guys. So I think that's going to be interesting. All the bats dying everywhere. I thought that was some heavy symbology being used there. The lady wanting to turn into a bat, that the transformation of a person is always great symbol. Heavily using symbolism here. And I like a lot of symbolism when I read things because it shortcuts the story. Not in a cheap way, but it doesn't have to over-explain things in it. Like, why are these guys the bad guys? If I can symbolize that the Dark Knight, we're the light Knights of the Sun, then you kind of get where everybody's role is and the way that they're going. Can't say enough about that. I hope they kind of stay on that kind of path during this arc. I think that will be very key. And again, it's refreshing to be able to pick up a Batman, something with Batman in it, and seeing Batman be Batman, but get a new story at the same time. And yeah, I thought that was just a great book. Definitely got to read that. Good stuff going on in there.
I do want to break off real quick. I've been doing something with Mighty LJ, the one who did my wife. She did the review of Paper Goes with me. She's kind of I don't know if she's an art major. She definitely knows her art. And she doesn't have time to draw anymore. I'm really trying to get her to draw some stuff that I think it would sell, but she doesn't have time for it. So usually what I do is I'll bring out my 4 favorite covers for the week. I'll say, hey, what's Mighty LJ's pick of the week? And the 4 covers this week were the Matina Batman, the Archer and Catwoman, the Wonder Woman, the Care Andrews cover, and then the Red Hood Pirello cover.
Ooh,
Our top 2 were actually, I figured she picked the Wonder Woman cover, but she liked that. So this was her favorite cover, that Catwoman Archer cover. She has a lot more dynamic. She felt the Wonder Woman was a little too blah. And I'm surprised she actually chose this as the runner-up for the Pirello. So that's Mighty LJ's cover of the week, is that Catwoman Archer number 10. So, what you said, Azrael? Maybe. I have not read that yet. The Detective Comics. I know I praised. Oh my God, the writer of that book when I saw him at C2E2, about how I love his Batman. That's Batman. That's supposed to be Batman. But I haven't read Detective Comics yet. Other book I did not read this week, Dead Man Logan number 6. I know you read that, Joe. The last issue kind of ended off like this could be the end. Where can it go from here? Why don't you explain to us where it went from there, how it continued on?
Yeah, I found that to be interesting, and I'm digging. I didn't read the actual series of Old Man Logan, and now I'm kind of regretting it. But I am liking this because this is a great concept of self-reflection, right? If you could travel back and talk to yourself as a child or a young person, what would you ultimately tell that person? Because that's just self-reflection. And what we get in here is zero regrets from Wolverine. I thought that was interesting. He sits and talks with himself in a bar, and normally we're told that if you time travel and you talk to yourself, like weird things are going to happen. And they just kind of blew that out of the water, and they're like, why shouldn't they talk? What's the worst thing that can happen? They both understand how time travel works. It's built into the mythos of the entire characters. So them sitting down, having a beer, chit-chatting back and forth, and then getting into a bar fight. That's just so Wolverine. That's what we would expect, right? And I thought that was just great. More importantly, I'm finding this, what happens when we get older, and what do we look back on, and what do we regret, and what do we kind of like. And the truth is, at the end of the day, we just have a sad old man that's going into a wasteland, and he knows everything's going to happen, and he doesn't see any reason why it should change, even though he's lonely. Man, that's sad. If I don't know how many people have ever seen like spaghetti westerns or get why spaghetti westerns work, but that's what this kind of reads like. The stranger, the outcast coming back into society, but then eventually he gets involved just enough to go. And I really loved the banter or the dialogue between Logan and Captain America in this. I thought that was the most heartwarming thing I have seen. I've been very critical of people that have been using Captain America as just sort of this icon in their comic book. Like he has like a 2-second appearance and then he disappears. And that's been bothering me. And then even in his own comic book, he's not being used a whole lot. But in this one, I thought that it fit, and just the mutual respect. Remember, they're both good guys. They just have a different answer to solving the same problem. And, Wolverine just didn't want to leave after the fight that he had with, even though it was Mysterio's fault, and he knew what Captain America would say, he still would feel better if he got the chance to say, he's sorry, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, this is just a great read. But at the end of the day, it's just a sad story about an old man that knows he can't change anything because he understands how time travel works, and he's just come to accept it. How cool is that to some degree? I'll tell you right now, my prediction for this is episode 12 is going to be the saddest issue of comic book history, because that's the road that they're going down. And wow, it's going to be very impactful. And if it's not, I'll eat the last issue. Like, I'll literally eat it. So yeah, great, good pick. Yeah, I'll review that all day. I hope I didn't spoil it too bad for you. I left out the good bits.
I was flipping through this other book that I picked up this week, and there's been kind of an influx in samurai Asian kind of books lately. I can't think of any of the names. I know there's been like 3 other ones that came out month and a half, past 2 months. This was another one, Cold Blood Samurai. I just flipped through this. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew it was number 1, so I was going to pick it up to give it a read. I'm digging this. I'm looking forward to reading this now because, you think Cold Blood as somebody who just kills without remorse. We come to find out that there are frogs that are samurais. Cold-blooded frog. Okay, I get that little long face. They're animals. They're lizards. They're frogs. They're crabs with samurai swords. Dude, this looks badass, and I can't wait to get off here and read this tonight. Kind of reminds me of Squares. If anybody's ever read Squares, we're about the squirrels and the foxes and all the stuff that take over the world after humans are gone. Now that's been out for quite a few years now. This kind of reminds me of that because there are different samurais that are frogs, and we got looks like iguanas. Dude, this looks pretty badass. So I'm looking forward to this. There's a little snippet right there. But yeah, that looks good. It's by Action Labs, Rossi, and that other one I can't pronounce. What time am I going to try to? Double S said that was good. The frogs were cool. So that's what Double S says. Good deal. I'm looking forward to. I'll be reading that tonight before I go to bed. I do love the play on the words there.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty damn. I love it when a book does that.
Captain Dadpool says that he's got crabs on his samurai sword too.
Well, you might want to see a doctor about that and not have any contact to make sure. Maybe you might want to call the last people.
They make a shampoo for that too, man.
Yeah, we take care of that. We don't need to know anymore. I appreciate it. Joe, do you have so what else came out this week?
Oh,
Oh my goodness!
You want me to do a lightning round or another review? What do you want me to do?
We're an hour in. If you want to, whatever you want to do.
Let's go through a lightning round / hyperbolic review real quick, like I always do. We'll start with the indie titles, and I'll just run through. And if you have any questions, get those questions in. All right, so Astro Hustle #2 came out. I really liked issue 1. After reading issue 2, I realized, okay, they're just going to do the same comic trope of cosmic pirates in the universe, and I don't know. If the next issue comes out and my stack's a little light, I may pick it up, but if I got a lot going on with Roy of the Realms, I'm probably going to end up dropping this. Not to say that it was bad, but just not what I was kind of hoping or expecting. Read this tonight, as a matter of fact, so this is still fresh on the brain. This is Prodigy #5. I've been collecting all the black and white covers of this, but when I saw the card, I was like, okay, there's the one that it's going to be slightly different. Again, we're on a world traveling mission to find out what's going on. We kind of get some insight here that we have some travelers from another dimension that's something like Earth. They sent somebody to Earth, but that got caught in a time warp. And come to find out, he's actually related to Nimrod, right? Who built the Tower of Babel. And inside the tower and the catacombs of it are instructions of how to build a bridge to get these bad guys over here. And there's a cult that's trying to help it out. Kind of took a really weird turn on this, but it works. I don't know if that makes sense. Like what I just explained is literally what happened in the book. Not what we were being led to believe in it, but it's working, and I like it. And apparently Netflix has picked up this comic book. It's going to become something on Netflix here in the near future. Let's see, Gunning for Hits Music Theater. I like this, not because it reads like a comic book, but it reads more like a, I don't know. I think I've used Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. It kind of reads in that, where a lot of things are going on. And most everything's against the law. Moving on to DC, Superman #10. I'm still staying faithful to Superman that something's going to happen in this. We get this long, drawn-out story for the last few issues from John about what he's been up to and where he's been. And as soon as he's done with the story, Superman's like, okay, let's go. Like, they're going to go talk to Jor-El now. And I'm like, seriously, the kid just got home. Like, relax. And he's been gone a while, but according to, because time's weird in space, yeah, words, science, nobody really understands it, so they can make it up. We'll just leave it at that.
Jonathan Kent's no longer a 10-year-old kid. He's
like a full-blown teenager now. Yeah.
Oh, man, I like the 10-year-old Jonathan.
Yeah. Read Wonder Woman #68. I promised myself I wasn't going to be picking this up anymore. I went ahead and picked it up just to close out the arc, to be fair to it. Yeah, thank you for ending that arc. I got nothing else. It was so predictable. And now we have more people that are just objectively different than everybody else, but we don't know why. And we're not supposed to think too much when we read this stuff, apparently. I don't know. The covers are beautiful on it, though. I'll give it that. The artists that are working these covers, absolutely beautiful. But I can't just keep picking up comic books for their covers. I mean, that's just unrealistic.
Yeah, that's my downfall. Is I buy a lot of the cover buys, and I'm like, why am I buying it? Why am I supporting crap story and crap art just because I like the cover? I'm going to continue to do crap story and crap art because I buy those covers. So it's kind of catch-22 there.
As Guardians of the Galaxies, this is a War of the Realms tie-in. And it's a pretty interesting one. I've been a fan of As Guardians of the Galaxy so far. It's a fun read. I like Throg. I think I'm saying his name right, the Thor Frog. Most people would see his little thing in here, a little bit of funniness, but I actually kind of saw it as a heartbreaking thing. Apparently, he's been ignoring frogs, and Throg is the god for the frogs. And apparently all the frogs in Central Park have turned up dead, and he kind of takes that blame on to himself. And I mean, yes, it's supposed to be a funny moment, but you know, if you switch everybody to humans, it gets very serious very quick. So I kind of looked at it in that fashion. It kind of brought things into scope in here. How important is this story to the War of the Realms? It's not important. If you're just chasing down War of the Realms and you don't want to buy all the tie-ins, you can blow this issue off and still be on point. You'll be okay. Let's see here. X-23. Finally, we get the argument that we all been expecting. They finally have an argument with each other. If you don't know, Gabby's been really kind of hooked on this whole family thing lately and not understanding why these clones can't be her family. We saw this in X-Assassin, and we're just constantly seeing this. And X-23 keeps trying to explain it. Look, we need to put these things out of their misery. We need to do the right thing. We need to stop this from happening. Gabby's not hearing it. They finally have an argument. And we have another clone of X-23 out there. I think they're overusing this clone X-23 thing just a little too much here. Kind of need a break from it, but we're not getting that. Apparently, these people have feathers and they're birds, and they're somehow X-23 clones as well. I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but I'm starting to get a little bored with it, to be honest. But, I mean, I'll give it one more issue. If I need to take a break from it, I can always come back to it. It'll be in dollar bin boxes. Moving on. Invaders. We finally figured out what the big secret was between Namor and Dr. Xavier. You know what it was? They knew each other. He helped them out for a while. Pretty much went nowhere. It was no surprise. We could have guessed it. I don't know if I want to dump this just because I'm mad at it because I fell for it, or if I just truly hated it. Symbiote Spider-Man. I'm not going to go into too much detail for this because I know I've been listening to people in the chat room. Not a lot of people have seen this yet, but just to give you context of where this story takes place, it takes place before 9/11. We'll just say that, okay? And kind of that. Somebody asked if it was a reprint, or I don't remember this story from the storyline, but it maybe, I don't know what to tell you. But we're dealing with Mephisto, or not Mephisto. What am I trying to say? Mysterio. We got a story with Mysterio in here trying to go straight and not being able to, and how superheroes deal with death, and even how a villain deals with death as well. So that was pretty interesting in it. Let's see here. War of the Realms, Journey into Mystery. If you've ever heard the term postmodernism being thrown around, this book is pretty much an example of it. Anything that's said in this thing, there's always some snarky, smart-ass comment that comes back. Now, that's pretty cool for a character to do it, but when every single character does it, it just becomes, I don't know, it just reads weird. I didn't much care for it. I get where they're going with the story. The story can be important to War of the Realms because it deals with Thor's little sister and how they're getting her to safety. But the characters that they picked for this, it's just way too much snarkiness. And honestly, why does Wonder Man still exist? Let's put him out of his misery already. It was never a good comic book to begin with. Let's just be honest. Trying to figure out which one was more interesting. Oh yeah, X-Force. This deals, if you've ever heard of the term false flag, and you're like, how do you run a false flag operation? This is literally your blueprint of how to run a false flag operation. That's ridiculous. I know. If you don't know what a false flag is, it's when you do something, you blame it on somebody else and convince people they did it so you can rally the troops against those people. Ta-da. This book tells you how to do that exactly. When they take a bunch of mutants off someplace. Well, first, all the mutants get captured, sent through the time portal. The guy really wants to use them as soldiers. Some of them don't want to be soldiers, so he goes, give them the homes that I promised them, kills them all, and then tells them, oh, by the way, the bad guys really did this. So we need to rally together, and dun, 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 it brings them all together. Great.
Sounds like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones.
Very similar to that. And I'll be honest with you, it's a good read. I've been enjoying X-Force. Good stuff. Issue 6. Last but not least, and this is my last book, believe it or not, The Amazing Spider-Man, number 19. Again, in this one, it was not a false flag operation, but something very similar happens in this book. When Gibbon dies in the last issue, Vulture sees that as an opportunity to rally the bad guys together, and we see a quick power struggle of Spider-Man trying to convince everybody to be cool, and Vulture telling everybody No, they killed our friend, blah, blah, blah. He was a hero. He was like strong. He fought them, and he should be an inspiration. And this is what is known as the noble lie. Get your pen and paper out. Noble lie is we know the truth, but the lie works more efficiently for our means. And that's what the Vulture's trying to do here. And apparently Vulture's got a kind of a plan up his sleeve where he can do something with the androids in it. Pretty cool stuff. And that's my read. And my mouth hurts.
I'm definitely going to be cut back on some of the cover buys. I've been buying like 2 issues of some of the more, the Archer and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm going to back off and buy like 1 issue and just enjoy it in my collection versus buying a couple. But that definitely eats into the budget, buying those cover issues. Like, well, I like that pretty art, on the cover, but I'm not really reading the story. I don't have much else I picked up. I think I showed these on Facebook and on Instagram, but I did pick up a good stack of Lois Lane, Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane for these were like average like $4 a piece. So I'll take some Silver Age for $4 a piece. Picked up some other books today. Went and saw Hellboy today. I'm not afraid to be out there. Saw Hellboy. What they thought of it. I guess it's kind of hard for me to go back and being a huge Ron Perlman fan, to go back and watch this. I'm a big fan of practical effects versus CGI, and I felt like there was a lot of CGI in there. And it's kind of hard to do any movie anymore without having some CGI in there. Some of it just seemed a little too much. I did not like the makeup, the practical effects for Hellboy. I didn't like it at all. It's just too bad that Ron Perlman couldn't come back for the third one, and Guillermo del Toro kind of write that third one out. They had some post-credit scenes. I don't think it's doing well enough in theater to actually get maybe a sequel. Maybe it might have more of a cult following, but I just don't. It has like 15% on Rotten Tomatoes for critic score and like 65% on people seeing it. What do they call that score? The viewer score or whatever.
Yeah.
Picked up this guy too. Another one. I need 2 more of the Batman Year 2, the Detective Comics. So got another McFarlane cover there. So more of those to get that one done. But and I talked to Joe in the off air. I went to the flea market today. Guy I buy books from all the time. I flip these books and a whole bunch of Bronze Age Superman stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. And I walk away from it. Somebody else comes up and he says 50 cents each, and I'm like, oh, you jerk, dude! I would have bought all of those in there for 50 cents each. I did buy some of the Bronze Age Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, and stuff like that for 50 cents each. I don't know. You got anything else this week, Joe?
Oh, what do we got going on this week? So my contest, official entries need to be submitted before midnight tomorrow. And then from there, I'll probably do a randomizer or something like that. So it will be 2 prize boxes going out. Got some Silver Age, got a Silver Age, a Golden Age, and some Shiny from the 90s. And a few other things, too, that my wife donated in her collection to kind of get sent out. Also, we decided, my wife told me it would only be fair to do a runner-up in it as well. So there will be a psychology, philosophy, and then like a runner-up type of thing for one of the newer comic book people out there, because a lot of newer people did submit entries to this. And I definitely want to say thank you to them as well. So we'll randomize all that for you. And then after that, I'm kind of contest happy right now. So if you haven't, and again, I'm not trying to pull you over to my channel or anything like that, because I never asked that you need to subscribe for my contest. But if you definitely hit the notification bell if you can, I'll probably have another contest coming out here really soon, just because I want to do it. Like it's reason, just want to. And I think it will be interesting. I think people have fun. I'm just kind of cleaning it up right now, just making sure it makes sense. Let's see. I'll probably go see Hellboy, even though I'm never really been a big Hellboy fan. I did like the movies, the first 2, but I was never into the comic book or anything like that. I know we got cons coming up. We got a lot of cons coming up. got the Tidewater Comic Con, got a summer Comic Con, and I got a fall Comic Con coming. On top of that, I got some American Legion stuff and Masonic Lodge stuff coming up. So you may be getting a lot more videos of me on the road at different hotel rooms and stuff like that here in the future. Who knows? Maybe a Sunday night Hero Blaster Stash It. But other than that, I don't have anything else other than my opinions, which I value very highly.
Yeah, I got a couple cons coming up too. I have a booth in each one of them. They're not big cons by any means. Not like, I don't know how big Tidewater is, but I'll have a couple booths there. I don't know if I'm gonna be going live or if I'm just gonna be recording some stuff. Maybe I'll catch some cosplayers. Hoping to try to catch a few creators. It may not just be comic book creators, though. Maybe I know I was talking to some guy who writes a sci-fi novel. He may be jumping in there, maybe ask a few questions about his sci-fi novel. But I got a couple booths set up. Trying to run through that thing because I mean going live on here is totally different than face to face, and trying to do interviews. So we do a lot of research on that. I got our banner.
The banner.
The $6 banner for the con. That's going to be hanging up in the background. So look for us on that. That'll be the last Sunday of the month. I'll be at one, and then the May 11th at the other one. So definitely, I'm looking forward to that. Get a little nervous about that. So I'll be all by my lonesome. Nobody there to bounce stuff off of. So
do it. Just do it.
You'll kind of get our name out there, get a few more subs, and be a local famous guy. I don't know. Who knows? I've had one person recognize me from YouTube, like in a comic store. Look through the books, were like, "Hey, are you from Los Angeles?"
I gotta tell you a funny story real quick. This is hilarious. So I'm in a comic book store, and a guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, do I know you from someplace?" And I'm thinking, "Oh my god, I've been recognized. I only got 100 subscribers. Somebody recognizes me, right?" I'm thinking in my head, "Oh my god, this is pretty cool." So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Pocan Joe," and he goes, "Never mind, it's not what I thought." Oh my god. Well.
We have our 3-year anniversary coming up first part of May too. I don't know if we're going to do anything for that. We talked about it. So we got some other changes going on with my schedule too. So said either we might be premiering on Sunday night or we might move the channel to a different night and maybe kind of shorten the format down. Because if we go live like on Thursday night or whatever, you can't. Well, we'll talk about that in the off air. But if we go live sooner, we're all going to be have time to read a couple books and go a little more in-depth review versus having till Sunday to read the book. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna figure it out, and we'll let everybody know. Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. What's going on with us? I'm surprised we're at an hour and 20 minutes with just the two of us. So I thought that was pretty dang good. We got everything we needed out.
Yeah, I think everything happened.
I don't think I'm backwards on that camera. I'm looking at the camera over here, seeing if I'm.
Well, there's no arguing tonight either. Although I do miss that.
Yeah. Drew said he might try to jump in, but I think it's kind of late now because we're getting ready to wrap.
He's probably tired.
Yeah. He probably is tired. Thanks, Comic Explained, for the thumbs up and the good job.
Definitely.
So,
hey, we got a thumbs down. We're YouTube famous.
I know. We got thumbs down. It is what it is, you know. Oh, but yeah, what's nice about one thing it is nice about this you and I on here is you and I don't cuss. I don't have to do a whole lot of editing out of the podcast when I take the audio over there, which is nice. I don't have to go, okay, where did Mike say that? Where did Paul say that? Where did Drew say that? You know, I can just take the audio directly from this, plug it right in, add my little intro music, outro music, and my little recorded intro, and bada bing, bada boom, there it is out there. I don't do a whole lot of work.
Well, ain't that some shit?
It is. It is. Oh, thank you, Joe. Well, I'm gonna leave that in there because that'll live our PG-13 rating. Last minute shout outs for you. I know you talked about different cons and stuff coming up. Anything else before we close it out?
So yeah, no shut your funk. Okay, so for shut your fucking mouth. I can't do it like they do it. My wife actually went and picked up all the Avenger ones with them in the pajamas.
Oh my god,
it's like 12 of them. So my wife picked all those up. Yeah, I just don't get it. It's not my thing. And some other ones too. My wife is a huge pop collector. She loves pops. So yeah, those, she got all those. I know Mike's got a lot of new stuff. If you want to stay up to date, I would definitely go over and check out his channel, because if it came out, he's probably bought it. So yeah, sorry we don't have a lot on the Funko stuff, but big shouts out. First off, huge shout out to everybody that entered into my contest, guys. That was really great. I hope you had fun with it. I think the biggest complaint was it was too hard. I think once you get the boxes for the winners, I think you'll see why I made it hard. Right? Good things you should work for. And like I said, I plan on doing another contest here soon, because it's just really fun to see people put content out there that's a little bit more deeper, something in between the panels than just a comic book haul or a review. Big shout out to everybody in the room tonight. Hey guys, thank you all for coming in. That's been really great. A lot of good conversation going on in the chat. Been loving every minute of that. And as always, I'm just happy to be here on Blaster Stash It, having a great time.
Okay, my every week little spiel. No, you can catch us on here. You can catch us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. So make sure you go over and follow us on there. What's weird about Facebook is, you can make your own post. You can comment about stuff. You could, whatever you want on there, which is kind of nice. We get to interact with you outside of this chat that you see right here and off to my left-hand side of the screen. And we also have our Patreon, which last week's winner was Ted Paglia. I can never pronounce the last name.
Capullo?
Not Capullo. He got the signed Pirello limited to 500 Batman Who Laughs #1. That was donated by Joe. We'd definitely like to get things like that put out to you guys. So $1 gets you an entry into that contest. We have 633 subs. If we had half of those subs just doing $1 a month, we could have some pretty big prizes to give out, or multiple prizes. So that way it's not just one winner each month. So definitely go check us out on Patreon. The link, I'm not sure if the link's in the description below, but definitely you can find it on Facebook and all that good stuff. So go check that out. As well as Podbean or anywhere you listen to your podcast, we have a feed up there. So we have the stuff from the show, which I'm behind on, but like I said, this one would be quick and easy to throw up there. We also have other content such as interviews for creators. Joe and I have done one of those. We're looking to do another one from coming up here soon. Reviews of trade paperbacks with Mighty Mighty LJ and myself. And I think Joe's looking to maybe put some content on there as well. So definitely go check this out. You can listen to us on the road, chit chat. It's great stuff. So thanks, guys. Whether you blast it, whether you stash it, happy reading, and we'll catch you guys next week.